Hi, this is Lonya with another StarCraft 2 commentary, and this is a game between Leenock and some Korean Protoss who's pretty highly ranked in his ladder group, I think. And both of these guys should be pretty good. It seems the Terran isn't deciding to spam at the start of this game, which is kind of unusual for high level players. Normally you'd see quite a lot of APM spam just to kind of warm up the game. But we've got a Terran versus Zerg on Lost Temple, which some people not so keen on, especially for Zergs because of all the abusable elements like the cliffs down at the bottom of the natural. But it all depends on whether the Terran decides to go for that or whether they try for some more standard play. And with these cross positions on this map, it kind of gives the Zerg some advantage because it means that they've got quite a few expansions they can take if they do decide to play for a longer game, and they're not under so much danger of kind of getting rushed early on. So they can hopefully manage to get up a decent economy macro up and get out a lot of units, which is obviously what you need to do as Zerg, and then you could basically move in and win the game, assuming you make it that far. So the Terran really is going to want to try and put on some early pressure because it's not always that easy to keep up with the Zerg macro unless you kind of aim for it, and a lot of Terrans decide to try and put on pressure rather than macroing up, although Leenock made it into the GSL and second GSL and played and got knocked out by Nada in the round of 32, and Nada, a Terran known for his macro, so he probably could keep up macro, and we'll have to see whether this Terran playing against Leenock on Lost Temple decides to try and go for a more macro game, or whether he decides to go and try and put pressure on and try and shut down Leenock and stop him getting too far into the game. So Leenock already getting an expansion on 15, so it looks like he's gone straight up for that expansion. He obviously knows where the Terran is, and he's got his drone down and he's found where the Terran is. And the Terran hasn't scouted him yet, so he's not going to be sure. And you can tell by the fact that he's just scouting over here, checking out this base, and even though he saw that Overlord, he's still not going to know exactly where it is because the Overlord could be coming just as a second Overlord straight from this base, so it's going to be a while before the Terran scouts. But when he does finally see the hatchery, he's going to know exactly what's going on. He's going to know it's a 15 hatch because that's pretty much what you always see. And we've got spawning pulling that down for the Zerg. Doesn't look like he's going to go for speedlings, just going to stick with this macro. But we got two refineries down from the Terran, and I think, oh wow, okay, maybe not. So yeah, the Zerg saw that he had two refineries up, but then the Terran decides to cancel the second refinery, just kind of doing some mind games with the Zerg, tricking him. The Zerg's going to think, I saw two refineries, that means he's either going to go for Banshees or some kind of tech build, and he's going to probably try and start preparing for that. And it looks like we've got some gas coming up now to get probably speed for the Zerglings. And so Leenock's going to kind of think, okay, Banshees, some kind of tech coming up fairly early on, and really the Terran just getting up two barracks, not going to be going for some tech play. It'll be interesting to see whether he decides to go for a fairly early expansion to try and keep up, or whether he decides to try and put some pressure on that isn't Banshee related. And it'll be interesting to see. Checking the production tab, we've got two queens being produced. There's no queen out yet, so there's no telling whether he's producing extra queens to protect against Banshees or not until he starts getting his queens up. But those queens, obviously a bit late due to the spawning pool, not going to be too much of a problem since there isn't going to be any Banshee pressure, but he doesn't know that, and it looks like we've got one tech lab and one reactor, so he might put on some early bio pressure from these two barracks. And Leenock just got those two queens finished, not producing any more at the moment, producing a roach warren, so it looks like he's not been too fooled so far by that double gas. Not going too defensive, just sticking with the two queens because he doesn't feel under too much pressure. And nothing really much going on for the Terran at the moment. Getting the third barracks down, so he's going to get ready to push fairly soon. And that push might struggle a bit because the roach warren and the speedlings, or not speedlings in fact, just lings, so it looks like Leenock's just going to go straight up roaches, not going to get speed, and he's only got one tech lab, and that's producing marauder, so he's going to be pretty marauder light in terms of the army composition, which might not do too well if we do see a heavy roach composition. We've got 5 roaches coming out, no speedlings produced yet for Leenock, just doing an extractor trick to get out some more because he was a bit supply cut there. So basically the Terran is actually in a bit of trouble because his fake out didn't work with the gas. He's even got an idle STV at the moment, and basically we've got a lot of roaches coming from Leenock and a lot of marines instead of marauders coming from the Terran players. So Leenock really slightly in the lead at the moment. We've got a spine crawler going down as well, so, and these roaches moving out in fact. And if he loses this Overlord, it's not going to be too great, but it's not going to be too much of a problem because he's probably going to lose a few roaches in a second anyway, and that'll free up some supply. But it just manages to escape. Hasn't really got anything in the base, and the Terran nicely positioning the marine here just to make sure that Overlord can't come in and scout the base. But Leenock managing to basically kind of do a pretty decent counter to this composition, despite the fact that he should have, in theory, kind of been a bit on the edge in terms of knowing what's coming. He's got some roaches being engaged, not going to manage to survive because there's too few roaches against a big bioforce, and maybe Leenock wasn't quite expecting that. I'm not quite sure whether those roaches were kind of out in the middle, not really able to do too much, kind of a bit useless, but Leenock definitely got an economic advantage. Got quite a few more drones, although the mules will help the Terran, but 13 marines and 4 marauders moving out. Looks like we're going to get some pressure coming up for the Terran, putting down some more spine crawlers on the front door, some lings now coming out, and some more lings on the way as well. So it's a few roaches, quite a few lings, and these spine crawlers which aren't quite up yet, so he really needs to kind of hold off the pressure until these extra spine crawlers come. Maybe bring down his other queen, but it doesn't look like he is at the moment. And he's got 4 creep between the two bases, so he can't really bring the other queen. It looks like the Terran's going to put on a lot of pressure, bringing his SCVs up as well. Really needs to do some damage because otherwise he's going to lose quite a lot of SCVs. With these spine crawlers not quite up yet, he could manage to do it if he manages to take down the troops, but no, he should really pull out now because he's going to lose all his forces. Yeah, but he's just managed to get a few troops away, but all of those SCVs died. 19 SCVs against 33 drones, didn't do any economic damage there, except forcing Leenock to produce some units, but that's not the hugest problem, and he managed to save that queen, and it looks like Leenock now, because of that heavy bio composition, getting a baneling nest out, so he's going to get some banelings, and another reactor going down, and a command turret now coming up for the Terran, so he's going to go heavy marine against banelings, which isn't really a good idea unless you're someone really skilled like Fake Boxer, or possibly Loner, I think, who can basically micro all their marines pretty much on the fly and just really avoid all those banelings, minimising the splash damage. And just checking the APM, the Terran's still down around 88, so I'm not quite sure that he's high level enough that he'll be able to pull that off. I mean, APM's not everything, but you need quite a bit of APM to kind of pull off splitting all those marines, getting them all over the place, getting a nice kind of surround on the banelings with everything spread far apart just to minimise the damage. And really, Leenock's got quite an advantage. He's got his layer up, and he should probably be getting a spire fairly soon, but at the moment it looks like he's going quite kind of unit heavy. Still not got his extra gas up down at the natural expansion, though he does have the 2 up here, and with the banelings and stuff he's going to be using up quite a lot of his gas on those units. So just moving in 7 banelings, so he's not going to be able to really produce too many mutalisks. He's still not expanded, but that's not too much of a problem because the expansion here for the Terran still isn't up. So what I would probably like to see is him using these units to just take down this gold, the rocks blocking the gold, so they can expand there fairly soon, and just getting that extra gas up now because he's doing pretty kind of. He's going to need quite a lot of gas, especially if he does want to transition into some tier 2 tech mutalisks. And it looks like Marines coming out, not the best idea. Not got any medevac support, only just now getting the factory for the chance, so he's really quite far behind in terms of the tech. He's got quite a lot of gas saved up, not really able to do anything with that when he's going heavy marine. So, and another hatchery coming up just for some extra lava for Leenock, just like what you would expect. And these 2 spine crawlers moving forward, and the Terran really shouldn't be attacking right now because there are these banelings all over the place, there are these roaches, and there's these 2 spine crawlers at the front, and really he should just be pulling away, losing a few units pretty much for absolutely nothing. And I think he's seen the spine crawler, the hatchery, and this queen is kind of sat back. Really not the best creep spread at the moment. Between the 2 bases is pretty good, and he's getting an infestation pit, in fact, not going for a spire at the moment. So that's always pretty good. Against a bio ball you can just lock them down and then use the banelings to just melt everything. But he's got pretty nice sim city at this front door as well. Even if he gets past these 2 spine crawlers, there's still a couple of hatcheries which kind of is going to split the forces or force him into one way or the other, and the banelings just sitting at the back. Still not sure he spotted those banelings, so the Terran really needs to kind of do something, but he's not even got a starport up yet, and for some reason he's got a tech lab on the factory instead of a reactor. And really what you'd be wanting if you go in heavy bio is reactor on your starport, pump out, double. In fact, he's going to go for some siege tanks, which is also a good idea, but really with this heavy bio composition at the start, he could do with getting out quite a few medevacs early on, but it looks like he's going to go for some siege tank support, which is pretty good. Siege up the tanks behind the infantry, and you can basically just let them take the banelings down. But we got a changeling here just following these marines, so Leenock knows exactly what's going on. And now he's going to take down these gold rocks and get a 3rd expansion up. Meanwhile, the Terran doing the same, just with his changeling following. So Leenock's going to know this is coming, and he's going to know exactly what there is. Not sure if he knows about the siege tanks yet, but he does have an overseer here. He's seen the tech lab going up on the factory. Now we've got some medevacs coming out and another starport. So we've got 2 starports instead of a reactor starport, which is kind of slightly gas wasteful, but never mind. Normally you'd expect to see a reactor because then you can double pump, unless he's going to get a Raven possibly because he expects the infestors, but he hasn't seen the infestation pit, so I'm not quite sure about that. But just one infestor of this army is still going to be able to shut down quite a lot of bioforces, and it looks like the Zergs are going to make an attack just with the infestor and the banelings, and just keeping the banelings towards the side. Roaches coming in with these 2 tanks are going to be able to do a lot of damage from up top, taking down a lot of the banelings. Nice fungal growth, kind of not very nice fungal growth even on the marines. Just getting a few, they all died, but still the main bulk of the force is over here, and they can just run away. And basically, whenever this force tries to attack you, you can just run back to the station of the siege tanks, and the siege tanks just range up here. You're going to be able to take down any force that they get in too close. You can just stim away, but still losing quite a few of these roaches, killing a few roaches, killing a few banelings, losing quite a few marines, but Zerg can't really put too much pressure on just because he has to keep running away, but he is going to macro up, which is what you really want to see. If you're not able to put on too much pressure, just make sure you macro up, get ahead in the long term game. And we've got a 3rd command center coming down for the Terran, so Leenock not completely far ahead. He's got that 3rd base up already, but there is a 3rd base on the way for the Terran as well, so really Leenock might want to consider expanding to a 4th base maybe, especially since he'll have a lot of minerals coming in from this gold. And an Evo chamber going down, still doesn't seem to have a hatchery, so he's just getting to layer attack, and without the hatchery, presumably with the Evo chambers, he might be going for ultralisks, going to start getting some upgrades, but none so far. And on the Terran side, we've got 1-1 for the infantry and 0-0 for the tanks. I'm not even sure there's an armory down yet, and it looks like we're going to have... oh no, there is an armory down, not upgrading yet. And he's just keeping on the siege tanks because he doesn't need the Thors, there are no mutalisks out. Kind of confused why he's got so many marines in his force, because since there are no mutalisks out, there's no real need for marines, there's no real need for mass anti-air. So he'd probably do better with some marauders, especially if we do see, and it looks like the Zerg's just kind of moving his defenses towards a bit. It'd be better if we do see marauders against the ultralisk, which are probably going to be coming. And no, there is a spire now coming, so in fact I might be wrong. He's got the Evo chambers down, but he's not getting upgrades on them yet, and he is getting a spire which might morph into a greater spire for Broodlord since he has got the hive tech up. And it looks like the Terran is just sending some supply depots down, just going to kind of mess up the AI slightly in terms of the Zerg movement, make it slightly harder for him to just kind of attack everywhere. It looks like Leenock's going to take 2 bases, double expanding, but that's going to get scattered out, and that's going to have to be cancelled pretty quickly. I mean, in some ways you can understand not taking this base because it's quite close to the Terran base, you can get it dropped pretty easily, but still this one's even more exposed because there's no real easy resupply route, especially when the Terran's kind of basing sources around this unlike watchtower bomb, and you can't really get the creep spread over there. But it looks like, in fact, we've got to drop up here, 2 siege tanks, going to be able to probably take down this hatchery unless we get all these roaches dropped, but no anti-air really for Leenock, not able to do anything to these medevacs, and yeah, that base is going to go down, he's going to have to cancel that fairly soon. So not able to do anything, and you could siege up here and possibly take down at least the gas on these bases, or take down